Oh, God. Hey, everybody. It's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again to talk about a new release movie that came out in November, and it is Heretic. Oh, God. This is a... Oh, God. This was a movie that I was going to see in theaters. Oh, my God. Thank God. Oh, thank God. Wow. Oh. I guess I shouldn't be surprised anymore, yeah. So this movie is, it's about these two young... And I'm reading straight from the plot summary right now. Two young Mormon missionaries who go to this old guy's house to preach the word to him, and he's like, "Oh, well, you want to come in here and preach to me? Well, I'm going to preach to you for 2 hours, bitch." Oh, God. Ugh. I think that a lot of movies nowadays, like, they're so bad that, like, I'm gonna be having PTSD when I look back on these movies. Like, it's like at the end of the year, like, oh, top 10 worst movies of 2024, The Substance. Oh, and I remember the day I watched The Substance. It was terrible. Whammon of the Hour. Oh, couldn't even finish that one. Borderlands. Oh, I watched that and The Force Awakens in one day. I mean, that was like sadomasochistic behavior. So this movie, I'm not going to completely be mean to it. I mean, you can tell I did not like it at all, in any way, but it felt like there was a good effort, and I hope that the next movie is better, because this was really bad. It's difficult to talk about this movie, really, because so much of it is just focused on beliefs, religious beliefs, and religious, like, lecturing or religious back and forth. The whole movie, the, like, 70 to 80% of the movie felt like the first act of a different movie. Meaning that, like, in the first act, there's a lot of exposition, and you're kind of like going along for the ride and waiting for the main plot to kick in. You're waiting for the characters to start doing something. And that's the experience of this movie for 2 hours, is just waiting for stuff to happen. And I got quite bored watching it. It is pretty late at night. It's 11:11 right now, which is the golden moment of the day. But this was a boring movie, and I gave this movie the greatest chance it could have gotten, because I was really looking forward to watching a movie. I was like, okay, what do I watch? Do I watch The Shining again? Or do I watch something that I haven't seen before? And I chose to watch this. So I was in the mood for it. I was ready for it. I was ready to receive The Heretic. But unfortunately, The Heretic was not ready to receive me, because, wow. First off, you got these two main characters who, let's just call them frickin' frack, because, like, they might as well be, even though I don't even know what frickin' frack are. which is funny. I'm just like calling them that. I don't know why. I don't know, man. But one of the characters, she's very stereotypical. She's like a typical final girl. And she is so bland and boring. She's like a walking piece of wood. And she's got this like tomboyish haircut. And she's, you can kind of tell that she's not really fully, or I don't know, kind of just like in between about, or like questioning Mormonism. Like she's not really 100%, like I don't know, she's just not fully there because she's got to be like the smart final girl who isn't like a full-on Mormon. And then you got the other girl who's a lot more playful and a lot more like, I'm a sweet little Mormon girl. I'm a Mormon, and I wear the magic underwear. She's also kind of like a little like slutty, I guess you could say. Like I don't know, like they open the movie with her talking about porno, and but, like, these are two characters where you've seen them time and time and again in horror movies, where you have the final girl who's really boring and dull, and then you have the kind of slutty side character girl who's the friend who gets killed early on in the movie. And surprisingly, that doesn't happen. I guess it's not surprising, because then the movie wouldn't have been able to happen. I mean, the movie would have been over. But, it's about these two girls, and these two characters are terrible. They're really dumb, and they act like NPCs. They are so dumb that it almost comes off as like a parody or a satire. Because as soon as like they get to this guy's house, they've got this like Mormon. As you guys can tell, I hate Mormons. I think Mormons are fucking retarded, and I hate Scientologists too. I think that Mormons and Scientologists are like Al Qaeda, but in America. Like I just think they're awful, and I really don't. It's just my opinion, but like these two girls have this weird like thing where they can't go into this guy's house unless there's a woman present, which honestly, as soon as they walked in the front door, it was like, okay, these bitches are fucking stupid, because like there wasn't any woman in the room. Like there was no woman in the room. And just because it's like this older guy doesn't mean that like you go into his house when he says that there's a woman in his house. It's just like stupid. It's just stupid people and stupid situations. Because it's like if you have that rule that you have to follow, then why would you even go in that house unless you saw the woman in the doorway? I mean, it's just really, really like... Oh, because it's raining. Oh, okay. What if it wasn't raining? What about the other girls who have come to his house before? Because, obviously this is one of those movies where, this has happened before, right? Obviously this is one of those movies where, like, they aren't the first. They aren't his first victims. It's very predictable. And as soon as they get in the house, though, it's like, okay, these bitches are stupid. They deserve to die. I want this guy to win, even though he's weird and stupid, too. I mean, let's talk about Mr. Reed, because that's the character played by Hugh Grant. Now, I gotta say, I really like Hugh Grant. I think that he's a great actor. I do think that he's a little pretentious, but he's very entertaining. However, he was trying to carry this movie on his back, and he is an old man, so it didn't work out very well. So he was like, his character, I really didn't get his character at all. Like, it kind of just comes off like he's bored and he doesn't have anything to do. And so he's just like, hey, let's fuck with these young Mormon bitches. Like, let's challenge their beliefs and then, like, torture them or something. Or I don't even know, like, what was his motive? What was his reasoning for doing anything? It just, none of it made sense. All of it was so, it was so weird. It was so weird and aimless. And I just, again, like the whole movie, I felt like this is the first act of a movie. And then, of course, always, whenever you have a movie, and this is all going to be spoilers, by the way, because I don't care, but whenever you have a movie about people who are trapped in a place, you always have that one character who's looking for them, and then that character shows up, and they try to contact that character, and that didn't really go anywhere. So, yeah, nothing really went anywhere, this movie. You know, it was just kind of like a nothing burger of a movie. And then it got towards the end, and this was like where the directors and writers, they kind of woke up and they were like, whoa, we got to actually have stuff happen now, because this is a quote-unquote horror movie. And so they had to have a couple of blood scenes. And then, surprisingly, the final girl type character, she dies, or supposedly. And now this is where the movie gets really, really, really bad, because the movie has a ton of plot conveniences, and the biggest one was at the very end of the movie. Mr. Reed is almost going to kill the other girl, and the final girl comes back to life somehow and stabs him, and then she immediately drops dead. It was so laughable, it was so stupid, and it was so like, wow. Like, you know, this movie, it could have been something. You know, like, I could have seen, this movie could have been like Saw, but with Mormons. But instead, this was like a TV movie. Like, I could see this movie being made in the 80s with Richard Thomas as Mr. Reed, which would be a much better movie because Richard Thomas is the man. But this just felt like a TV movie where, like, okay, like, we're just going to talk for 2 hours, and we hope you like it, and fuck off. And then the movie ends, and it's just like, yeah, that was a big waste of time. Like, I really don't know what the point of that movie was. Like, I mean, I guess, let's talk about, so Mr. Reed thinks that the main real religion is control, and that religion is all about control. And the thing is that, like, he's right. He's really 100% right, but the thing is that, like, who cares? Like, what is he, like, what's his motive? Like, why is he doing what he's doing? Like, why is he so, like, what is his end goal? It's just like, because a lot of what he says is bullshit. A lot of what he does is, like, gaslighting, and, like, you know, I'm saying one thing and then the opposite is true, and you're only gonna believe because, you know, you have to believe, and, you know, stuff like that. And, like, I feel like there were elements that could have been really good in this movie that could have been, like, horror related in terms of that, of, like, you know, obviously, like there's this part at the beginning where he's like, okay, well, you're going to have to go through the back to get out of my house. And, like, oh, no, you can't go through the front door because the door is locked all night long. You got to go through one of these other doors, and that'll lead you outside. And it's just like, these bitches just believe anything. It's really weird. Because, you know, if you think the whole time, like, this is one of those movies where, you know, like the old stereotype of, like, you know, like the dumb white people in horror movies, you know, like, you have that one part in Scary Movie 3 where and or like Scream 2, where it's just like, what are you doing, white girl? What are you doing? You big me. And it's like, that's what I was doing this whole movie. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you just standing there watching this guy lecture about religion? Who cares? Chop his fucking head off. What he could do stuff to you. He could rape you. He could torture you. He could kill you. He could kill your family. Like, chop his fucking head off. Like, what were they doing the whole movie? Like, it's just stupid movie. Stupid. So yeah, as you guys can tell, I didn't like the movie. I was not a fan of this movie either. Horror movies have been a big failure this year. There have only been like a couple of horror movies that have been any good. And those are Smile 2, of course, Abigail, the Salem's Lot remake, and Terrifier 3. I would endorse any of those 4 movies, and I would say to forget about the other ones. And that would include, these were the bad horror movies: Trap, ugh. Alien Romulus, ugh. Overrated trash. Speak No Evil was mediocre as hell. Longlegs was abysmal. Probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And of course, Heretic. The Substance, oh god. Whammon of the Hour. Joker 2. That's not really a horror movie, but it is the worst movie I've ever seen. But like, yeah, like, I would be interested to, even though I hated the movie, I would never watch this movie again. I would be interested to hear what someone's theory is as to his motive, the main villain of this movie. Like, he just wants to debate or something. Like, I really didn't get this movie, and I was doing a lot of work in the background. Like, I am making this fake head effect for my movie. I'm kind of redoing it because the one that I ended up doing last Sunday just did not look like I wanted it to look. So thankfully I got a chance to redo it. But I was paying attention to this whole movie. It was so boring. And I was waiting for the movie to get going, and it never got going. And, I hated it. I just fucking hated it. The only part that I liked was the fact that they killed off the final girl. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So the main character is going to be this kind of like, this other one that, usually traditionally she'd be the one who'd be like killed. But then, no, they bring the final girl back to save her, and I thought, okay, that is bad. That is really, really bad. This Heretic was a TV movie with a budget. In terms of food, I already mentioned this on my Letterboxd review. This movie was like a plot convenience buffet. I recently went to a buffet called Tokyo Grill. It just opened up, I think, earlier this year or last year, and it was really, really good, but there were some things there that I didn't like, and one of those things was, for dessert, they had a bunch of different stuff, and I got a lot of the stuff that they had, and I loved it. I loved almost all of it, but there was this one thing that I absolutely hated, and it's called caramel pudding. It was like this gelatin mold thing with this caramel liquidy sauce underneath it. And it had no flavor at all. It was just terrible. It had nothing to it. It was just a nothing burger of a dessert. And I just kind of felt like a pig because I was like, okay, like, I should have gotten something else because this was not worth it, Like, I've eaten all these other desserts and they were pretty good, but like this was terrible. And this movie really was like a caramel pudding. So yeah, that's another one, guys. That's another bad movie. And there are some horror movies left, though. I am excited for the end of the year. I'm going to watch Strange Darling, which seems like it could be good. And then there was another one that I think people said was good. But other than that, like, I've just kind of given up on this year of movies as like a lost cause. You know, like, what do we have left this... Oh, yeah, we do have Nosferatu. Oh, never mind. I was like, oh, well, there's nothing good coming out. Oh, yeah, Nosferatu. Christmas Day, too. I mean, how can you beat a horror movie coming out on Christmas Day? I mean, that is just, like, the greatest gift that you could ever get on Christmas is, like, a new horror movie coming out in theaters. Because, like, I've actually been to the movies on Christmas Day. I saw Promising Young Feminazi in 2020 on Christmas Day in theaters. Which is funny because, you know, nobody else saw that movie except for me. Even though, like, I was told that, like, I was bad for not liking it. Well, I was one of the only people who actually supported it, so, you know. But, like, the experience of seeing a horror movie on Christmas is really, really magical. And it's just a lot of fun, because, like, Christmas sucks. You open up a bunch of presents in the morning, and then you just sit around and you wonder what the fuck you're going to do the rest of the day. And at least if there's a movie coming out, you're like, oh, I'm going to the movies, and I'm going to have a great time seeing whatever movie that came out, if it's a horror movie, and that makes it a lot better. That's why, too, like, I don't get why they don't release, like, new TV show episodes around holidays, because they have movies that come out in theaters in the holidays, and so, you know, you'd think that, like, they would also release TV show episodes around holidays. You know, like, if you were a big fan of a TV show and it was Christmas Day and you were kind of bored, why wouldn't you want to watch that TV show, you know? So anyways, please like this video and comment. I am sorry I did not like the movie. I don't think that, and I will say too, I didn't think that the acting was bad from anyone. I just didn't like the movie. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest movie reviews. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.